They said silence was golden in space. They were wrong. Silence means something is listening. The distress beacon had been silent for 73 years. That's what made Commander Isla Verne suspicious. Distress beacons don't go silent. They scream until their power dies, until the metal corrodes, until the universe itself forgets them. But this one, Delta 7, they called it, had stopped transmitting exactly 73 years ago to the day. Not the hour. The day. Isla stood on the bridge of the meridian, watching the coordinates blink on the holographic display. Behind her, the crew moved through their routines with practiced efficiency, but she could feel their unease. Space has a way of making people believers. Believers in luck. Believers in signs. Believers in things that shouldn't exist. Distance, she asked. 400,000 kilometers, replied Yuki, her navigator. The young woman's fingers danced across her console, but her eyes kept darting to the void beyond the reinforced glass. We'll reach the coordinates in 20 minutes. And still no signal? Nothing. It's like there's a hole in space there. Our sensors keep sliding off it. Isla frowned. Sensors didn't slide off things. They detected or they didn't. But she'd learned not to dismiss her crew's instincts. The universe was stranger than any manual suggested. Dar. Okonkwo, what's the mass reading? The astrophysicist looked up from his station, his dark face creased with confusion. That's the thing, Commander. There's no significant mass. No planet. No asteroid field. No debris. Just coordinates in empty space. Then what triggered the original beacon? I don't know. Those 3 words hung in the recycled air like a curse. Isla felt her jaw tighten. 20 years commanding deep space missions, and she'd never heard Okonkwo say those words before. 20 minutes later, they arrived at nothing. The meridian drifted through a patch of space indistinguishable from any other. Stars glittered in all directions. The local sun, a red dwarf called Kepler 438, burned dimly in the distance. And in the exact coordinates where a colony ship had sent its final, desperate cry for help 7 decades ago, there was absolutely nothing. Full spectrum scan, Isla ordered. The crew worked in tense silence. Minutes stretched. Then Yuki gasped. Commander, I've got something. It's not showing on any conventional sensors, but there's a gravitational anomaly. Tiny. Like a fingerprint pressed into reality itself. Show me. The hologram flickered, and there it was, a distortion so subtle it was almost invisible. A ripple in the fabric of spacetime, no larger than a human body. What could cause that? Isla asked. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. Dr. Okonkwo shook his head slowly. Something we haven't seen before. Exotic matter, maybe. A tear in space. He paused, choosing his words carefully. Or something that shouldn't exist at all. The bridge felt colder suddenly. Isla made her decision. Prep a probe. I want it to. Commander. The shout came from Ramirez, their communications officer. His face had gone pale. I'm picking up something. It's not radio. It's not quantum. It's like sound, but there's no air to carry it. That's impossible. I know. His hands trembled as he routed it to the bridge speakers. What emerged wasn't a sound. Not exactly. It was the ghost of a voice that had once existed, speaking from somewhere that wasn't quite here. Can anyone hear me? This is Captain Sarah Chen of the colony ship Prometheus. If you're receiving this, do not approach. I repeat, do not approach. We made a mistake. We thought it was a shortcut. We thought. Static consumed the voice. Isla's blood ran cold. The Prometheus was the ship that had sent the original distress call. The ship that had vanished without a trace. Her hand moved unconsciously to the edge of the console, gripping it. "Keep playing it." The voice returned, but wrong. Layered now, like a choir of the same person singing slightly out of tune with themselves. The fold was supposed to be safe. But there's something inside. Not space. Not time. It's the gap between. And it's aware. God help us, it's aware. It doesn't want to hurt us. It wants to know us. Every version of us. Every choice we didn't make. Every life we didn't live. It's pulling them through. All of them. I can see myself dying. I can see myself living. I can see myself never being born. They're all here. We're all here. And we can't leave because to leave is to choose, and to choose is to collapse, and to collapse is to. The transmission ended. Not with static. With silence so profound it felt like pressure against Isla's eardrums. "What the hell was that?" Yuki whispered. Dr. Okonkwo's voice was barely audible. "They're trapped. In a pocket where reality can't decide what happened to them." He looked at Isla, and she saw fear in his eyes. They're stuck between moments, existing as every possibility at once. Like opening a door and stepping through and staying behind, all at the same time. "That's not possible," Ramirez protested. "It shouldn't be." Okonkwo gestured helplessly at the screen. But that ship didn't just vanish. It's caught in superposition, observed and unobserved, here and gone. Every choice they could have made, every fate they could have met, it's all happening to them simultaneously. No one spoke. The horror of it settled over them like frost. Isla stared at the tiny gravitational anomaly on the screen. Somewhere in that imperceptible ripple, an entire ship and its 400 souls existed in every possible configuration. Living every life. Dying every death. Experiencing everything a human could experience, all at once, forever. "We have to help them," Yuki said. "How?" Dr. Okonkwo spread his hands. "To look at them, to really observe them, would force reality to choose. One version becomes real. All the others." He trailed off. "All the others stop existing. But they're suffering," Isla said quietly. Her throat felt tight. "Did you hear her? She's living and dying in the same breath. That's not life. That's hell." The bridge fell silent. Isla had made hard decisions before. She'd left crew members behind to save the ship. She'd authorized dangerous maneuvers that could have killed them all. But this? How do you decide to erase echoes of people who are just as real as the original? Her hand trembled slightly on the console. She pulled it back, made a fist. "Commander," Ramirez said softly. "There's more to the transmission. It came through after the first message ended. Play it." This time, the voice was singular. Clear. Resolved. "If anyone finds this, please. Collapse us. Choose for us. We've been everything. We've lived every joy and every horror. We've loved and lost in ways you can't imagine. We've seen the face of infinity, and it's beautiful and terrible and unbearable. We're ready to be one thing again. Even if that one thing is nothing. Please. Let us end." Isla closed her eyes. The weight of it pressed down on her chest like a physical thing. "Dr. Okonkwo. If we fire a focused sensor beam at that anomaly, if we observe it directly, would that force it to resolve?" "Yes. The wave function would collapse. One reality would become the only reality." "And the Prometheus?" He hesitated. "Probably destroyed. The energy release would be catastrophic. But he met her eyes. They'd be free. Free, Isla repeated. The word felt hollow and full at the same time. She opened her eyes and looked at her crew. She saw her own anguish reflected in their faces, fear and compassion and the terrible burden of mercy. She touched the communications panel. Attention, crew of the Meridian. In 60 seconds, we will perform a high-intensity sensor scan of the anomaly. This will likely result in its collapse and the destruction of the Prometheus. We do this at their request. We do this because no one should have to exist in every way possible and never truly live at all. She paused, her voice steadying. We are about to end 400 people who have been mothers who both saved and lost their children. Lovers who found each other and destroyed each other. Heroes and monsters and everything between. We give them the one thing they can't have while trapped between moments, an ending. Her finger hovered over the activation button. For a heartbeat, she hesitated. For the crew of the Prometheus, who explored too far and learned too much. She pressed it. The sensor beam lanced out, invisible and precise, touching the anomaly with the cold certainty of observation. For 1 microsecond, the anomaly flared. The screens showed something impossible, a ship flickering through every stage of existence. Pristine and shattered. Burning and frozen. Occupied by shadows wearing every expression the human face could make. Then it collapsed. The light that resulted wasn't bright. It was quiet. A soft exhalation of released energy. And then, nothing. Just empty space again, as it had been before humans had ever dared to touch it. The bridge was silent. Then, crackling through the speakers one final time, a single voice. Not layered. Not fractured. Just, grateful. Thank you. 3 days later, as the Meridian journeyed home, Isla stood alone in the observation deck, staring at the stars. Commander? Yuki had entered quietly. Are you okay? I killed them, Isla said simply. You freed them. Is there a difference? Yuki considered this. I think there is. They asked us to choose what they couldn't. That's not murder. That's love. Isla turned to look at her young navigator. What if we're all like that? What if every moment, we're killing every other version of ourselves just by choosing to exist one way? What if every decision is an ending? Yuki smiled sadly. Then we honor them by making our choices matter. By living the one life we have as if it's the only one that counts. Isla nodded slowly. The weight of echo. What? That's what it feels like. Every ghost of who we could have been, trailing behind us. The weight of all those unlived lives. She looked back at the stars, at the endless possibilities they contained. But maybe that's what makes this, right now, right here, precious. Not that it's the only possibility. But that it's the only one we get to call real. Yuki stood beside her in comfortable silence. Behind them, the ship hummed with life, singular, chosen, real. And somewhere in the universe, in a patch of space that would never be quite the same, 400 souls had finally stopped being everything. They simply stopped being. And that, at last, was mercy.